13 months ago, the subprime mortgage crisis burst into public consciousness. Now, a more comprehensive crisis is consuming some of Wall Street's most venerable firms. If you're still wondering how the crisis affects you, it's a good time to start paying closer attention. Welcome to Collateral. Last week, the Dow Jones was a jittery mess after Lehman Brothers collapsed and Bank of America bought Merrill Lynch. Since that time, AIG, a huge insurance and investment services company, was bailed out by the Federal Reserve. And it basically took the printing of money, the printing of about $40 billion to do it. Now, the Fed is just about out of bullets, and there are plenty of other companies that are fucked up just as badly.
There's no question about it. Wall Street got drunk. That's one reason I actually turned off the TV cameras. He got drunk and now it's got a hangover.
When the Fed does something this reckless, financial stocks come under enormous pressure, and in time, the stock market is driven way down. But the real problem for ordinary people is the economic downturn that's sure to follow if credit markets stay frozen and businesses can't stay liquid. Now, we've been experiencing a slow motion economic collapse for several years now, but the response so far to this crisis makes it all the more likely that that more general economic crisis is just around the corner, and with it, perhaps, a political crisis. But not all crises are bad, because out of them some good change can come. Let's make a couple of things clear. First off, the major media are not adequately explaining what's happening here. They pretty much treat this crisis as something that, just happened. But that's bullshit. What's happening now was the foreseeable consequence of repealing the Glass-Steagall Act in 1999, which was presided over by Bill Clinton and his then Treasury Secretary, Robert Rubin. Rubin also happens to be one of Barack Obama's main economic advisors. McCain is even worse for this crisis. His former advisor and close friend, Phil Gramm, played cheerleader for deregulation as much as anyone did on Capitol Hill. Glass-Steagall was passed during the Depression in 1933 to ensure that speculative banking submit to significant regulation. But in repealing it, the government basically ensured that a blind eye would be turned to this latest round of financial larceny. Second, the government has clearly sided with the bad guys in this crisis. Big bailouts, even if they bankrupt the nation, are the payoff for allowing Washington to become corporate-occupied territory. The government could have and should have let these companies fail and forced them to market their current assets. But these companies are not being forced to do so. The government, in engineering this bailout, is doing the worst possible thing. It's assuming the risk of these bad bets and trying to keep the game going a while longer. It's economically insane.
The question is, how long will it sober up and not try to do all these fancy financial instruments?
One way of putting the magnitude of this crime into perspective is this. For about the last 20 years or so, your government's been telling you that there isn't any money to even begin a national health care program for the 40 million or so people with no health care. But somehow, the minute the big mortgage houses and a few investment banks go tits up, there are trillions of dollars to bail them out? You need surgery you can't pay for? Well, you can rot for all your government cares. But AIG? No, they have to be saved, even if it takes printing money to do it. Do you get the picture? Michael Hudson, the economist from whom much of this analysis has been drawn, has said it best. The class war is back in business with a vengeance. Corporations have bought Washington, and now they're getting the payoff. It has to be stopped. See, the biggest distortion here is that you have to save all these big companies or else the global economy will crash. That's bullshit. If Fannie and Freddie and all the big investment houses fail, the fake economy would crash, and that would cause much pain in the real economy for a while. But if mortgages were recalibrated to the actual value of the homes they're tied to, and if a new regime of financial regulation were imposed by Washington, we could come out of this. But the bailouts here are designed to keep the current fiction alive by paying off these companies on the overinflated loans that were taken and bundled, and thus by letting the fake accounting go on. This, in turn, ensures that long-term pain is coming, and the little people are going to feel it a lot more than the giants will. We're being robbed. And while you could argue that we're getting what we deserve for letting these criminals run amok for so long, there's no reason that the people should have to foot the entire bill. Everyone on Wall Street should be made to come clean. Open your books. Let's see who's broke. If you're going to have market capitalism, then regulation is the only way to maintain integrity. In a true democracy, where special interests don't dominate the public interest, that would be obvious. Hope to see you next week.